Hi, everyone. So I'm going to make a quick video on the next step of our narrative writing process. We're going to move today from taking where you developed Friday and over the weekend things you might write about, ideas that you might write about on your narrative, right? And there were some ideas on the back of this paper, but you could also pick something else. And today we're going to develop them further. You will also kind of start writing about it and doing your rough draft. Don't worry about that right now. Okay. Um, but yeah, we're going to move ideas from here onto a more developed, um, just thinking everything you can possibly think about, getting out everything you can possibly think about your topic. And it's good to have more information that maybe you won't use all of it in your narrative than to not have enough. You're going to do this in your interactive notebooks, and there are a couple different ways you can do it depending on what you're writing about. If you're comparing and contrasting things like how awesome you are compared to your sister or brother or whatever, you might do something that's called a Venn diagram where, you write about yourself here, you write about your sister here, and then the things that are similar here. Um, so Venn diagrams work well for comparing things. You can also do Venn diagrams that are very complicated. They're not that complicated, but if you want to do 3 or more things, you can draw a third circle. So item topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, and then where they all meet. So that's one way. Those only really work if you're comparing and contrasting. Okay. So if that's not what you're doing, don't do Venn diagram. If you're just doing a traditional, hey, I'm going to write about this topic and I need to develop as many ideas as I can, you would put the topic in here. So for me, it was like running my first marathon. And then these are just everything you can possibly think of. Okay. And you can do interconnected ideas. And I'm going to show you a sample because I think this one is the one that most people find the most useful. But some people, this is just not how your brain works, and that's okay. For some people, especially if you're doing something that's just like a story in chronological order, if it works for you, you can just do a list. That's not my thing, but if it works for you, it works for you. You guys are at that age where you're learning what is best for you, and so if that's fine, that can work for you. But if you're stalling out and you're not able to finish a list, come to the web. Okay. And you'll see on the web things are interconnected. So, like, here's the topic, and then this would be another thing, and then this would be connected to this thing. But honestly, guys, you're not going to get graded on your web. And if all the bubbles are in the right space, it's just about getting as many ideas as you can out. So, if these connections that you draw make sense, great. If they don't, who cares? Okay. Okay. So, those are the 3 ways that you probably might do your brainstorming. If you have another way that you'd like to do and that you're super comfortable with, just mention it to me in class, and I'll probably say yes. Okay, so that's the 3 ways you could do your topics, your brainstorming. So I'm going to just show you an example of how I might have done it for my narrative, which we read last week about my first marathon. So I would have, if I was doing this for the first time in my awesome teacher's class, that's me, I'm the awesome teacher, I would draw on my paper and a circle in the middle, and I'd write first marathon. Boom. Then I am just going to start listing. See, and I said listing. So some people would be perfect for listing, but I would just start writing down all the things I can think of. So I'm going to write like felt sick. I might even just write sick because I'm going to remember that I just felt sick and that I wasn't sick, right? You are not writing sentences, and this mostly has to make sense to you. Okay, so I just wrote felt sick. Wanted to leave, right? I might write about the two guys that I ran next to and never talked to. So I would put like, but I don't want to. I want to save my writing and my efforts. I'm going to put silent runners because again, I'll know what that means. I don't need to write a whole sentence to do that. Silent runners. Oh, I remember now. Okay, because what's going to happen is later. So you get several ideas. Blah 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 blah. I'm going to put uneven pace, right? Because remember, I was like speeding up and told my mom I'm gonna be early. And then 6 miles later, I was like, I'm late. Ay, 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 that was rough. So uneven pace. Again, I'll know what that means. This is my story. You're writing yours. You're prepping to write yours. Okay. Okay. So now, once I have worked to get as many ideas as I can out. Like, honestly, you probably need to fill a page. You probably need way more than this. If you can't like get like 10, 15, 20, maybe even bubbles, you're probably not going to have enough to write. Does that kind of make sense? So we're not gonna, Ms. Akidella and I are, and we're not gonna say you have to have so many bubbles completed or so many lines on your pacing or so many or on your list or so many things written in your Venn diagram. But if you don't have a big chunk, you're probably going to run into problems because what happens is once you start writing, you're not going to write every single thing on here necessarily. You might decide that wasn't that important anyways. And so what's on the paper is probably going to end up being less than what's on the rough draft. Okay. So now let's say I have my 20 ideas. That's not 20, I know, but trying to make the video kind of short. So now I'm literally going to just start taking whether my brainstorming was a Venn diagram, a web, or a list, and I'm just going to start writing. And as I write about things, I'm going to check mark as I mention them, check mark or something like that. And again, this is probably good to be in pencil because you might do some revising and stuff, or just literally going, you don't even, we're not going to come and check your check marks. The check mark is an internal check system for you to make sure you're not skipping things. And again, if you decide not to add something from this list onto, or from this web onto your paper, that's fine. But you want to make sure that you don't miss something, that if it's not in there, it's a conscious decision not to be in there. So quick word about the writing process. When you are brainstorming and drafting, it needs to be pretty quiet because if you're talking to your neighbor, you're not thinking about your own writing. And we're going to, be pretty strict on that because we don't want you to have this as homework. But then the agreement there is that you have to work on it in class. And some of you are going to write like a novel. You know who you are. So if you're going to write a ton, you might end up with some homework because you might run out of time, right, in class. But if you're working, you should be able to finish this in class. If you're finding that you truly like, hey, look, I'm not talking to my neighbor and I really am trying and I can't fill a web, then you might need to change your topic. But come and like raise your hand, let us know because we can come over and help you like think of things that can keep your ideas going. And then if you really can't get there, you might need to think of a different topic. Okay. So once you do get to the rough draft, you are going to write like this. Okay. Blah, blah. So first of all, yeah, I'm still here. The computer's trying to tell me I'm in the meeting too long, which is usually when I know I need to hurry up and stop the video. Okay. So those are not actually words. I know you know that, but this is me pretending to write. The one thing you need to notice is that I'm skipping lines. Okay. You do not need to worry about spelling or grammar. In fact, we don't want you to worry about spelling or grammar because if you are self-editing, which is normally a good thing, self-edit, right? But not during the rough draft. If you are self-editing, you are stopping your idea flow. So don't worry about it. Like we don't even want to really see much erasing at all. Okay. If you really can't help yourself, cross it out and keep going. Do not erase because that's really slows you down. Just write. Be one with the paper, right? I am one with the paper. I am writing. But skipping lines. If you forget to skip one line, don't erase. Just start skipping the lines again when you notice it. Okay. It's not a big deal. It just makes it easier to edit. You're not going to get a bad grade if you forget to skip lines. None of that. It is just more useful if you do. Okay. But again, we don't really want to see any erasing. Just write. And again, if something's like, oh, that's not what I wanted to write, just cross it out if you really have to. Okay. All right. I think that's it. And I'm sure as I'm showing you this, I'll think of more things, but I think that's it. All right. Have a good day. Bye.